All right, still plenty to talk about here nationally and locally because what's going on right now in the primary may be very important when they get around to California. So John Dadian joins us here this morning.
Yeah, our political analyst. We're talking about Super Tuesday, of course, and the repercussions that the candidates have seen because of Super Tuesday, and then we'll get into how that affects California and the local races. But first of all, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you.
Very good.
Let's talk about Super Tuesday. Romney obviously in the lead, the polls are showing, but Gingrich and Santorum not too far behind, especially Santorum.
The interesting thing about all the primaries and caucuses up to now, it really is breaking kind of regionally. Mitt Romney's doing very well in the Northeast and the West. You got Gingrich in the South, and you got Santorum doing well in the Midwest. And, you know, that's good for the individual campaigns, but that doesn't bode well for once you're the nominee, because you're going to have to really make up on those type of grounds.
So right now, though, it takes 1,144 votes, or 1,144 delegates to get the nomination. Nobody's anywhere near that. I mean, no. Romney has a little over 400. Does this thing go all the way to the convention?
Very, very possibly. Again, for Romney, it was crucial that he won Ohio. Even though he won it barely, he won it, and he really needed to do that. If Santorum would have won it, that would have been a real game stopper right there. So now we've got March and April. There's a lot of primaries coming up then, and then, of course, we go into California June 5th. California, of all the states, has the most delegates for the Republicans. Again, it's different for the different parties, but 172 are at stake total.
We're not winner-take-all, though.
No, it's actually, it's not only not winner-take-all, but it's not even proportionate statewide, which is how most states do proportionally. It's proportionate by congressional districts. So that really helps somebody like a Ron Paul, because he can pick off certain congressional districts and rack up maybe 20 or 40 of those delegates.
Which then, if he stays in it all the way to the convention, that gives him a little bargaining power at the convention to get something he wants built into the platform or some promise behind closed doors that we'll never hear about, perhaps.
And you asked about it, does it go all the way to convention? Clearly the strategy of the other three candidates, except for Romney, are to stay alive. And it looks like they're doing a very good job of it.
Yeah, certainly. So how does Super Tuesday and then the election, as we stand right now, affect the local races, the mayoral races?
Oh, a great deal, because for some very basic reasons, such as if California is a real player, they will be coming into California, they, the presidential candidates, a week or two before, and that will boost Republican turnout in the primary. And again, a lot of, including our city council races, even though it's a nonpartisan race here locally, there are several races that there's one Democrat and one Republican in it. So that could affect it a great deal.
Let's get back and talk about the local races here in San Diego, and specifically the mayor's race. The deadline passed yesterday, and there's, you know, a couple of people in the race for mayor. This is going to be fun, I have a feeling here. If you're a political junkie, you know, like some of us are.
You know who's running for mayor? Everybody but Marc and Kristen.
Because we couldn't get off the news desk.
Definitely not running.
Couldn't get off the news desk to file the paperwork.
Otherwise, we would have.
So my new nickname is, as of yesterday, the Lucky 13, or some people might call them the Unlucky 13. There's a total of 13 people that have filed the proper paperwork, and assuming that it's all correct, et cetera, that they're going to be qualified for the ballots. Obviously, we consider 4 the top tier, but it's a total of 13 people.
And one guy that just hasn't really done much in the early polling, but you expect him to do well later on, is Bob Filner. I mean, as a congressman, huge name recognition, and as you point out, the only Democrat in this race?
He's the only Democrat of the top 4.
Of the top 4, right.
Without a doubt. And but again, the real interesting thing is not only do all 4 candidates have different credentials, all credible credentials, they're all office holders and that type of things, but their platforms are 4 different, which is a little unusual. Usually you have 1 or 2 major big issues that they all kind of been, and pension clearly is one of them, but they have different platforms. Bonnie DeMonis wants to say executive leadership. Nathan says new leadership. Bob Filner says, believe it or not, after 30 years, he's the outsider, and he's coming in. And of course, Carl DeMaio says that I'm the one that's been there fighting for you. I'm not just saying what I'm going to do. That's his main platform. 4 distinct platforms. We're going to see. It's interesting what appeals to the voters on Election Day.
All right. Well, we're out of time now, but we'll come back and talk more as it gets a little closer, obviously, and as it gets even more interesting.
Very good.
Thanks, John.
John Dadian. Thanks, John.